Warm welcome to this Swayam course on media, information and empowerment. When we are in the information revolution happening around us, multiple media elements like newspaper, radio, television, film and digital media, we are bombarded with the information. Huge level of information is being handled and media, newspaper, television channels or radio stations playing a crucial role in the society. But always there's a criticism in the mainstream media saying that they focus mainly on sensational content, focus mainly on politics, crime and celebrities, entertainment. They give a very less space for developmental issues like a health, like education, like a gender equality or climate change communication or public access to information. But that needs to be highlighted in the social wide communication because India is a signatory to UN's Sustainable Development Goals. From 2015 onwards, we have the certain number of targets, we have certain number of goals. There are 17 goals, 169 targets needs to be achieved by 2030. That's what the UN has set the deadline for member countries, and we have another 10 years time to reach the targets or reach the goals. So, this 10 years, this decade is being classified as a decade of action. Mainstream media, these are commercial entities, they operate in the business platform, whichever content, whichever the formats is popular, they deliver that. That's how the sensational content, politics, crime is playing a role. That's different, altogether different way, but there needs to be certain kind of discussion, that certain level of highlighted important point for creating awareness to empower the people on health front or educational front or in a climate change communication. Because if you have empowered, if you have information, large number of diseases can be controlled. The prevention is better than cure. That's a very popular proverb. We used to say that. The prevention in the sense, if you have adequate knowledge about the disease in advance, so at least you will take care about that. You don't need to rely on doctors on that. As an individual person, that can be carried out, but how much health information is available? And education with the technology that enhance the speed of learning. Okay, we don't need to go with that mainstream media. Technology like computing, like digital devices that can support the students with the help of teachers, with the help of school system. The digital literacy is very crucial, how to deal with the websites, how to deal with the computers, how to handle the information retrieval, information handling, managing the information, and for educational purpose, it's a very more successful it's a competency and a skill that requires for the success of the person. Similarly, if you come to that gender equality, particularly in the media, I give an example, in the news platform, the 24% of news space is being devoted for women, is being established by global monitoring report. Over the period of time, earlier it was around 17%, but over the period of time, we have reached up to 24%. But if you look at the social dynamics, we have the male and female ratio 50-50. But whereas in the news platform 24-76, there is an imbalance that needs to be corrected. Similarly, the climate change communication, if you look at the newspaper, if you look at the television channels, the majority of the media content related to climate change are event based. If there is an event happening related to climate change or pollution or related to kind of water, land, mass pollution and all, then the stories comes to the media platform. But why not we create a sustained campaign, sustained awareness about climate change communication? So that's a kind of great demand for a time and space to discuss about developmental issues. That's one of the primary goal for this course. We are talking about three major components in this paper. One, the communication concept. The first 4 units, 4 weeks, we are talking about media, understanding media functions, and we are talking about media audience, then media literacy, then media policy. The 4 units we are trying to understand how communication system operates in the social wide communication, and what is being successful, what is not successful, what is being required for to achieve the sustainable development goals. So that we are talking in the first 4 weeks. Immediately in the next 2 weeks, we are talking about development concepts, developmental support communication, sustainable development goals. We will talk about the individual goals, individual targets, what can be achieved through communication, and what is the role of media, individuals, institution. That's what the 2 weeks we are going to discuss about that. Followed by that, we are going to trying to understand the interplay between media, information, and gender, health, education, climate change, environment, and human rights. These are the areas in which media can play a role. Health and information literacy, how to handle the media information for health, and how to use a digital technology for education, how to use a ICT tool to balance the imbalance in the gender equality, how to use our own online platform with the ability of individual to mitigate the climate change disasters, how to guarantee the better access to information. These are the potential. There are 17 goals, 169 targets, but media and information can play a role in these kind of areas. That's one of the reasons why we have packaged the whole course in that way. Media and communication, developmental concept, and interplay between media and other developmental sector. We have structured the whole course into 12 weeks, and the 12 weeks is being packaged into 3 major components: media, communication, development, and interplay between media and core issues of SDG. The week 1, we are talking about understanding the role of media and information in society, understanding the different roles of individual medium, newspaper, film, electronic media, and digital media. What are the characteristics, what kind of roles we are functioning. These are all explained through the text, video, and we will have an assessment for that part. Week 2, we are talking about media audiences. In the contemporary world, we are no longer a passive audience, because the mainstream media, which is the institutional media, professional groups, and operates in the wider context, a small group of people running a channel or newspaper, reaching out to the large section of audience. In that context, there is a very less scope for audience to interact with the mainstream media. Whereas if you come to the online medium or digital medium, it's a completely different ball game. It's the mainstream media is a top to bottom approach, and online media we are talking about horizontal. Everyone has a capability to run a channel or a newspaper, or run a you can deliver the content to a wider audience. It's like not a user. We are a prosumer. We can produce, we can consume. We are not no longer consumer. We are prosumer. So that we are going to talk about in the week 2 media audiences. Week 3, we are talking about media information literacy. To consume a newspaper, to consume radio, TV, or film, we don't need much skill and competency, because that's a linear platform that comes to you automatically, which is being packaged in a linear way. Half an hour news package is being delivered. You have to switch on the TV channel, listen to the compare or news presenter to understand the news concept. But it comes to the online platform, where it's not a linear way, it's non-linear. The information has to be retrieved based on your demand, your need, your usage. For that, you need a little bit of competency and skill to, in order to utilize the potential of online media. This unit, the 3rd week, we are talking about information and media literacy. That how the literacy, like competency level, skill level required to deal with the media and information. Week 4, we are talking about the policy, mass media policies, how a kind of a national level media ecosystem is evolved and over the period of time, and what's been current policies for different media operations like a newspaper, television, online, and net neutrality, and internet divide, digital inequality. So there are policies for every operation that we will deal separately in the week number 4. Then week number 5, we are shifting the goal from media, communication to understanding the developmental concepts, basics of the developmental process, and introduction to sustainable development goals. And week 6 we are talking about how a communication can be played, communication can be utilized either in the mainstream media, institutionalized media, how individual can play a role with the help of ICT tools. That's how we are talking about week number 6. Week number 7, the first topic of interplay is media and health issues. How media can play a role to prevent a disease or provide a better information, create awareness, and how individual can utilize the medium, utilize the media, utilize the information for their own empowerment, their own awareness on the health issues. And next one, we are talking about education and media. In the educational media on TV, radio, and some extent on newspaper, and other component about utilizing digital literacy for your own learning concepts. So, all this dynamic concept of learning process through media we are talking about in the media, education and media in the week number 8, then followed by gender and media. We were talking about that for 24% of space is being given for news in the newspaper platform, and how gender is being portrayal of gender in a different level, and not only the portrayal, how a gender, the people of different category are playing a role, how a higher power being given to certain document, how certain facilities are denied, or certain information is being misrepresented. From the gender perspective, all we are talking about the balance and imbalance of the relationship between gender and media in the week number 9. Week number 10, we are talking about climate change communication. The title is Media and Entertainment. We were saying that the mainstream media mostly related to they cover the climate change environment from event based one, but event based coverage is not a good sign. It has to be a topic based, issue based, and sustained coverage is required. Then the week number 11, we are talking about human rights in the media, and particularly related to the freedom of expression and public access to the information, and that's dealing with SDG 16.10. So, that's week number 11. The last point is alternative media. The mainstream media has a constraints on developmental issues. What are the alternative and potential different platform in which everybody can play a role, including individuals and institutions? Multiple players has to be played. The SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, it's talking about participation of everyone, institution, government, society, individual, for holistic achievement of better living conditions in this targeted period of 10 years by 2030. So, in this kind of 10 years, the 1 decade of action, we have to try our level best in order to achieve the sustainable development goals. We have the opportunity, technology provides the opportunity, and we will try to explore how individual can play a role. Hopefully, this course may give a platform for the learners who enroll for the Swayam to understand the potential of individuals using the communication ability for public cause. Thank you. Welcome to this course.